What the hell was I getting into? It's the sort of unknown I lose sleep over the night before. This is Strenci's annual Plostnieku Svetki, in English, Raftsmen Festival, and it is a logistical and physical effort. So I did this side here, Arman's did that side there. It's just tying up these wires, but it's bloody hard work. Cooked. And that's just one raft. Yeah. It's quite frightening to think that people are going to be riding that. And I tied up some of the wires. Let's face it, I would not be a good aircraft engineer or anything like that. So they're moving it upriver. I think there's going to be more wood coming down. So I think there's about 15 of these to build. Holy moly. So apparently they even build a fire on these, which seems to make no sense, but they've got to have soup come from somewhere. Right?
The river.
From the river soup. Gauja soup. I want these guys on the desert island. So my side on this one was that one. So you can see all my wires there. Lobby. This event's gaining quite a bit of traction, and this year was the first year that the festival has gained UNESCO status, a big achievement for an event celebrating a heritage of floating logs down a river all the way to the Baltic Sea. Absolutely mad bastards. So there's soup in there, slowly warming. The soup was pork and sausage with a squeeze of lemon, and plenty of potatoes, carrots, onions and garlic. After the morning we had, it was perfect. Busy! So basically making room for more raft pieces. Well, we've got 5, so we've got 5 more to go. Yeah?
10 more to go.
10 more? Are we setting a record?
No, previous year we already tied.
Oh, 15 was the last record, right? Yeah. So here they're making the steering device, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And you steer from the front.
From the river.
So the river does the work, but we sort of help it along the way.
You have
The finishing touches were nigh, the bumpers were coming in to save us from disaster, and I had settled into my job as the wire cutter. Just need to get some more wire. Oh, frick! So just a quick anatomy of a raft. We've got the bumpers all along the side here. We've got some, basically a dance floor right here. And it makes it easier for drunk people to stand up, because walking on the logs isn't the easiest thing, especially when you're inebriated. And yeah, so you got the bumpers on the side, you got the logs, you got some cross braces here to make sure everything stays intact as we're sailing along the River Gauja. Basically, it's getting pretty long. Got all these little steering poles. The fire's going to be here.
Oh yeah!
And then further up there, they're going to steer from the front. So, yeah, it's neat. Seeing it from above, an immediate sense of awe. Seeing that it was all still in one piece in the morning, a sense of surprise, especially knowing I had had a hand in it.
Ko tu dzēri, jā, viņš saka,
Ūdeni.
Ūdeni! It was sweet and kind of spicy. Starting to fill up. Yeah. So we're about to go. So they're just going to untether the rope over here, and then we'll leave from the front. yonder. Oh, this feels good to be doing some work. It was fucking freezing. We'll be in Strenci in no time. Just making it around that tree that's fallen across the river.
Me Latvian,
Yeah?
Ukrainian, Russian, English.
Oh wow! That's a lot, man. So the Polish people have arrived. These fellas here in the hats. And no one understands. No one speaks Polish. They don't speak Latvian, so yeah. Everything and everyone had settled down to the flow of Gauja, and the socializing began. So I'm just gonna take a moment to explain the route. So you start here, and then you go through this squiggly bit, and then I'm just realizing that it's just one big squiggle fest all the way to Strenci. This is the River Gauja, people. Slow and meandering.
Hard work. Come on, dude. You can do it. Push. You can do it. But don't push yourself out.
So these guys are doing something really interesting. They're using a bunch of recording equipment to record the sounds of, I'm assuming, nature. And they're going to use it to make music through like samples and stuff, but also through like using the oscillations, I guess, of nature, like to control a synthesizer. So they've got like a little flotation device in the water here. And I don't know what they're doing, but they got a lot of equipment on board. It's amazing. I actually did find out more. They were essentially collecting data that could be converted to audio and making a soundscape album of the journey using a range of sensory inputs, including this tree right here. It was about to have a big input. Got absolutely nuked by that tree. That relatively destructive tree reminded me what we were drifting through, and I had a bit of a moment. Row, boy! Come on! Come on! So now it's rest time. Rest from what? I don't know. We've just been chilling, but everyone's gonna take a pee in the bush and eat some food, I think. I don't really know what's going on, but I'm gonna go for a pee in the forest. This is the sort of thing I like to write about. Light's coming through, but it's still just a little bit creepy. The soup today was just as delicious, except I thought it was a little bit more zesty than the one from the day before. We set on our way until I turned to Armand's and I said, "Dude, where's the dinghy?" We've got two dinghies on board. And we left the boat, the second one, at the beach where we had lunch. So Armand's has gone on to the side here. Whoop. Armand's has gone onto the side, and I'm just sort of blah, and I'm just sort of rowing to try and meet him halfway, just in case. Way out in the distance, maybe 300, 400 meters away, I see Armand. So how are you feeling?
Very well, actually.
Good to get some exercise, yeah?
You described it.
Like a happy mistake.
Run 2 kilometers through the bushes,
Yeah?
then jump to the boat and start steering, you know?
At least we've got the current this way.
Oh shit, my legs.
So yep, both boats are back. Feeling a bit like woo, but it's good. So this is what happens when when somebody's not paying attention. We turn into beavers and dam up the. There's the left side of the river. There's the right side of the river. Time for a mate. This is apparently going to take about an hour to fix. Shit. So we're on the move, but losing a bit of communication from front to the back. So someone finally took a tumble. Anyway, and they went, "Lord, look at that." Armans, did you say that everyone takes a tumble? Everyone goes into the water at some point. Someone, every year.
Every year. When you start, you have to jump in the water, no matter what.
It had been a very long day. You could feel that everyone on the raft had taken a little bit of critical damage. Okay, so this isn't what we wanted. We've got a friend. Yeah.
Slow down, man. Hey, come on. Wow.
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 That was intense.
Not as well.
Holy shit. It is very, very late.
No, good man. It's no. You see the tiger?
The day after, the raft is still together, and everyone is obviously feeling a little bit creaky. But Eva led us in a bit of singing, and everything was bliss. I was enjoying that, but Gauja had other ideas. Stuck on a rock. So the decision was made to cut the back 2 rafts free and let the weight of the other 12 rafts sort of yank it off the rock. Okay, let's see if this works. Just waiting for that rope to tighten up. That's a couple of tons, so I think the rope would probably sooner break. It's not working. Eventually, after none of that worked, the decision was made for a few guys, including Armans and Evo, to get into the water and shunt the raft off the rock, which actually worked. And then once it was all back together, I took the opportunity to have a tour of the raft while it was still in one piece. So we've got the steering from the back, the second contingent of people I don't know, the fire raft, which becomes popular as the sun goes down, my raft, raft number 11, which just seems to be constantly underwater. These 2 rafts back there, and then this chill down raft.
Labi, ļoti labi.
Tu zini, ka tev ir šitais
Jumis.
Jumis.
Yeah, yeah. These are the teenagers. What do we say?
Very good.
Putin, blядь. These guys got all the food. Daudz ēdiens. Yeah. And this is the Polski raft. Yeah, this is for the YouTube.
Okay.
So, fire raft number 2. And this is where all the food comes from. This is the Australian raft. There are 2 Australians on here, officially, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go, the thing at the front.
A lot.
And then it was time for hockey. 5G, you little beauty. The raft became a stadium as Latvia began their eventual run to the semi-finals.
They're all watching the ice hockey, and I think Latvia's winning, so top notch.
I tried to sell the hockey as something fairly innocent just before,
So how cooked are we? Very, very cooked. The raft is not meant to look like this. Shit. We're on a stick over there, we've got people way over there, and then the rest of the raft is here.
I gotta say, at least they won. That raft was in 4 pieces at one point. But, you know, we got it together. I filmed none of that because I'm not going to be the guy who's meant to be helping but is just standing there filming and laughing. But it was fine. But here is some footage for you.
Take it to sea, Mr. Murdoch. Let's stretch your legs. Yes, sir.
So we got it together and the day ended. Meanwhile, on dry land the day after, my father-in-law Gunther was creating a flurry of wooden snow among some other contestants in the annual carving contest. And the riverside was getting ready for the festival and our final kilometre to arrive at Strenci.
A little different than all the rest. I'm quite old-fashioned where I had sometimes played chess. And when I'm out, I'm looking for that vintage fling. But all complexions that I adore, so hard to find, these seem impossible to score. So I dream on to someday find that vintage love. I kept on looking.
That was the last hurdle. How do you feel?
But feeling
Relieved?
relieved, yeah.
That's good.
Excited.
Mission successful. Well done. We've made it past the bridge. How are you feeling?
Amazing, as you.
Yeah. How was the entire journey?
Actually better than previous year. There was freaking good weather condition outside. There was sunny, no rain. Okay, there was a bit windy, but it's nothing. I think the journey was perfect.
Amazing. Okay. And next year, would you do anything differently?
Yes.
Yeah.
We will bring a couple of bottles more.
That is our landing zone. It's actually not that far away. Yeah, I suppose now's the right time to say something. I mean, it's one of these experiences I don't think I will ever forget. It's definitely not once in a lifetime. I can definitely come back and do this, but like, the first time is once in a lifetime for sure. This feels weird to say, but if you're this way inclined and you're heading out to the Baltics, go to Strenci. It's a town of about 1,000 people, but it's got the culture of many amazing years. It's been through a lot, and to come out with this sort of attitude and this sort of passion for your culture, it's inspiring. Look at everyone all lined up.
Here's us, drifting up to the bank of people waiting and watching, and we're acting stoic, like we hadn't tested the strength and endurance of our arms, our minds, and our livers. So we got off the raft and we walked through 1,000 people up to a stage where a presentation was done. And the whole time, the ground felt like it was swaying. It felt spongy in a way. It was the strangest feeling, and it carried on for days. But aside from the physical feeling of being off the raft, the mental feeling was this bizarre sense of accomplishment. And even though all the hard work really was done in days previous, right at the start, the sense of achievement was still there. And I felt a little bit sad that the raft was just going to be dismantled in the next day. I mean, it can't just stay there. And the logs get reused for next year. But I don't know. You feel like a little bit of yourself was left on the raft, on the river. It took a little bit, but I gave a little bit. And it was a beautiful experience. Gunja carved this beautiful figure, and for the life of me, I don't know why, didn't win. But then we partied until the night ended, and it's the perfect way to end an epic event.